Hello, and welcome to this special edition of The Alternative Exit, live from the Employee Ownership Conference in Telford in the UK. And this has been brought to you by EOT Expert by Christian Wilson. So just imagine you've sold your business to an EOT and are now happily retired, spending your tax incentivized money when HMRC or the tax man knocks on your door to ask for the full repayment of your capital gains tax due on the sale. A trust which is a huge pain. I mean, a trustee at your old company has just resigned and the team innocently but improperly accepted the resignation, inadvertently triggered a disqualifying event. This is a nightmare scenario. The truth is, running an EOT is not simple. From appointing trustees to managing the trust registers to keeping on top of all the annual one-off filings. One small mistake can be painfully expensive. This is where EOT Expert by Christian Wilson step in. His EOT Assured service keeps you compliant and confident with clear guidelines, templates, and tailored support, whether you need a one-off transaction, support, or ongoing retainer. Christian can even help you set up compliant bonus structures to ensure that your staff are getting the rewards that they deserve. So if you're looking to make a transition to an EOT or already established an employee ownership trust that wants peace of mind and proper governance, reach out to Christian at eotexpert.co.uk for technical expertise that's reassuringly human. Hello and welcome back everybody to another episode of The Alternative Exit, live here from the EOA conference in Telford. So our next guest, we have Sarah Hughes from Celvac in Wales joining us. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
I know you just got roped in a couple of minutes ago, so a bit of a surprise. But love it if you could just tell us a little bit about your role at Celvac and Celvac's journey into EO.
Okay, so yes, we've been employee owned now just over 2.5 years. I am sort of head of people, HR manager, standalone. So it's about 63 of us, I suppose, 63 employees. So yeah, I kind of oversee the HR function there. As far as the becoming employee owned, that was back. Yeah, I think we initially sort of started the conversation, the company directors, there was sort of rumblings about things going on and we weren't sure what was happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, September 2022, I got involved.
So pre-transaction?
Pre-transaction,
Nice.
yeah. So I was kind of roped in, basically because we were going to come to the EO conference to have a look around.
So you're going, well, what else am I going?
Yeah, and it's like, so me and the managing director headed off to Liverpool as it was then, and started talking to people, got involved with Leslie then with the EOA, and we met all the employees. So we obviously shut down that year. And on our first day back on January the 2nd, we got all the employees together, broke the news to them. So we had Geldards there because they helped us with that transition. We had our accountants there. We had various other people.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the whole transaction team was there.
So to answer all those questions that we couldn't answer.
What was the reaction from people? Because were you the only sort of employee, really, that knew that was happening?
Yes, at that time. It was very well received, actually. A lot of our employees, they work out in the field. So, about a third of the employees actually are office-based. The rest of them are out in various parts of the country. So it was good to get everybody together to tell everybody at the same time, because otherwise, you get muddied waters and Chinese whispers and things like that. So that was very well received. Obviously, people focusing on the bonus and what that means and how much we're going to get and when we're going to get it. So yeah, we had a lot of people on hand to answer those questions. We went out into little breakout groups and they were able to ask those kind of questions to the experts then, and they were able to give them the correct information.
What were the biggest fears that were bubbling up for people?
I think there was more excitement than fears.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
People they heard the bonus. And it was like, right, okay. So yeah, if we work really hard, we're going to get all this money. But yeah, there was always, oh, what if it doesn't work out? Is the business going to be sold? Things like that. But I think we had enough people there to kind of quash those kind of rumours, and just that it was going to be like quite exciting for the workforce.
Yeah.
And they explained about the trust, and who was going to sit on the trust. And we had so much input from the employees that people wanted to sit on the trust. They wanted to know more. So we went literally straight to a vote because we had so many people go, like, I'm really interested in, sitting on the trust board.
Just out of that announcement
Yeah.
day. Really?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You just don't often hear that.
No. So for us, that was quite exciting. So,
Yeah.
we hadn't even signed the paperwork yet and the transaction had gone through. But yeah, we had a lot of people go, what does this mean? How do I put my name down for it? How do I get onto the trust board? So that was quite exciting. And before we know it, March was here and we'd signed. And it was like, right, today's the day. And, we just sort of announced it. I think maybe we went on social media to say, yeah, we've all just signed the paperwork. We're employee owned. And it was like, oh, wow. So I think we went to the vote then, and we had the workforce that were voted on by their peers. And so it's been really good. Really
Wow.
good.
Okay. Yeah, often I hear stories about those sort of announcement days being filled with more sort of just that fear, uncertainty and doubt that people have.
Yeah.
But obviously having a full deal, like having the whole deal team there to be able to answer questions, I'm sure that was very helpful.
Yeah. No, 100%. Because, we didn't know. We've just sort of said, we're going to become employee owned. The ex founders were there. They'd sort of said about their exit strategy, things that they had looked at, and they thought that this was the best option. But yeah, having, people that had been through it before, had helped us get to that point. But that was just great because they could say yes or no, this was going to happen, and just like say, quash any fears that the guys may have had. But no, it's good.
Why was this the preferred exit?
Where we're based, we're in Tenby, West Wales, lovely part of the world.
First Welsh company on the podcast.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think there's 100 employee-owned Welsh businesses now, so which is great. But location-wise, like the ex founders, they'd looked, to sell to a competitor, and we just felt he was Tenby born and bred. He'd, got the company together 30 odd years ago, and he wanted it to stay local. And he just felt by selling it to a competitor, it would get broken down, potentially move to Cardiff, London, taken out of Wales completely. So he thought employee ownership, and I think he'd been looking at it, for a while. And that's what I said. We heard rumblings the spring, summer of 2022. So I think he'd been thinking about it for a while, and just felt that this was the best option.
Okay, so you make that transition in March. Is it 23?
Yeah.
Was it? So what changed in the business?
Do I dare say it? Nothing really.
That's normal. Yeah.
The company directors were already running the company. I mean, I've been with the company 4.5 years now, and when I started, the company directors were running the business. We didn't see too much of Kim at the time. Not that
Kim being the
Kim
owner.
Bain, yes. So he'd not almost taken a back seat, but the company was running it itself. And I suppose he didn't feel the need to be there on a day-to-day basis. Any big projects that we had coming in, he would get involved and help us out with those. So from the day that we transitioned, it didn't feel any different. Personally, I don't think it's going to feel any different until I think we've paid off. We've got Financial Freedom Day, and then I think that will not be a weight lifted because there's no kind of burden on us at the moment. But I just feel it's ours, and the money that we're making is ours. Because obviously we've still got 2.5 years to pay off the preferred consideration. I think the guys at the start were excited about it. They were watching pennies and things like that. And then you sort of get into a lull, and then every so often you have to sort of kick them up the butt a bit and say, right, look, you should be wasting this or damaging this. You need to get back on track and focus, because the money that we're making
Yeah.
gets into a pot and potentially
Our pot.
our pot. Yes. So it's
Okay, and so what are some of the things that you're doing to remind people of? Well, firstly, to educate people on what employee ownership means, and then how do you ensure that they keep that top of mind throughout their decisions?
So I do a monthly newsletter. I do feedback forms every week. So team leaders give feedback on their crews, and the crews give feedback on their team leaders. And that all goes into a monthly newsletter. Managing director, she does a quarterly newsletter. So she talks more about the financials, where we are, the budget, things like that. Earlier on this year, we started Employee Voice.
Yeah. What does that look like for you guys?
I don't get involved with that. So our chairman, Michelle, so she has these meetings with a member of each department. So whether that's one of the drivers, team leaders, office, workshop, and then they come together, have their meeting. Michelle then feeds back to the managing director. She'll give her a list of things that I've discussed, and then Claire, the managing director, will go back and say, right, we'll be back to you in such and such a time to discuss this. Give us time to discuss it at the board meeting, and then we'll get back to you with answers. So it is quite difficult for us because, like I say, 2/3 of our workforce are out in the field. They could be working in Thames for the week, and trying to get everybody together, it is quite difficult. And I think we lack that a bit, getting together and having discussions. But we're working on it. And, sometimes, you come to places like this and you speak to other people and you realize, actually, we're not doing too bad. I've spoken to somebody today, they're 5 years transitioned and they're thinking about employee voice. And I'm like, oh, okay, we've got our employee voice. So, but yeah, different people are at different stages in the journey then. So,
yeah. And what has been the most surprising thing post the transition in the business?
I think the way the guys have accepted it. Again, you find out things we're not so good as a management team, and I think maybe communication. That tends to be, I think, and that stems from previous. When you're talking about financials and things like that, it's like that's only the management need to know about that. But I've just come out of a session now, and it's like if you want your employees to be employee owned and treat the business as theirs and business owners, then you've got to give them this information. And what they do with that information is up to them. Some of them are just go, no, I'm not bothered with that. Then others will dissect it all and work out, oh, right, so we owe the people this much, and how much have we been paying them off, and how long have we got left to pay them off, and they'll do the calculations for themselves. So but how well it's been received, I think that was quite a shock for us, or for me personally anyway. Yeah,
it's an amazing thing. So you did touch on sort of one of the core elements, which I hear a lot for great employee-owned businesses, like open book management is sort of one of those key elements. The other ones are sort of education and then participatory frameworks. I mean, you talked about user voice. Doing open book management, do you guys do much? Like, do you share much today, or is that inspiration you've taken from the session that you want to do more of?
We do. I think we could be sharing more.
Yeah.
So the last newsletter that the managing director put out, she talks about budgets and where we were, things like that. She also highlights the damage. So obviously, without our trucks, that is the main fleet, is our big thing. Without our trucks, we can't work. It's how people respect the trucks and look after things. We had quite a high damage the previous quarter, so she's highlighted that, and also let them know, just basically how much we owe the ex-Tim founders, which was quite a big step. We've kind of been pushing for that. Look, right, they need to know these things. So yeah, we put that out there. And again, it's for them to kind of work things out for themselves, or they come to us and ask questions. I mean, they haven't come to me and asked me anything about it. My colleague Michelle, chairman of the boys, she gets quite a lot of information, and she kind of feeds that back to us to say, oh, I've had a couple of questions about this. But yeah, we're quite open. Our doors are open from the office space, and if the guys want to come back on a Friday afternoon and come and sit with us and talk to us about anything, they're more than welcome to do that. But yeah, I think we could be communicating potentially figures, and they don't need to know all the facts and figures, but there are some more figures I think they should be privy to personally. That's why.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like moving to the line. Sounds like there's a bit of fear from management to share like some of those items. Like we talked about sort of the actual debt that you had in that deferred consideration was a big one. What do you think is driving that?
I think again, it's not being afraid. I suppose we're still in the old mindset of being owned by somebody, a couple of people there. So, actually now becoming employee owned and needing these guys to treat it as their business, then yes, we do need to give them the business information. So I think we get to a point where, we need to be doing this, we need to be doing this. I think by slowly giving them the information, it's better than like from day one, right, this is how much we owe them. We need to be making this much. That would just be too much.
So much overwhelm.
We've got to a point now where we feel, yes, we've been employee owned for 2.5 years now. What are the questions that they're asking? What information do they want from us? And we can start sort of drip feeding that information slowly to them, see what questions are coming back, and then right, so okay, they're happy with that, and we can start giving this information as opposed to just throwing facts and figures at them willy-nilly.
Yeah, totally. So love to sort of talk a little bit about, I mean, the education that you're doing. I mean, how much effort beyond that initial day? It sounds like there was a big investment, bringing the whole deal team together. What does it look like going forward in terms of educating people like how to act like owners and how they can contribute to the business as owners?
Yeah, I think again, through the monthly newsletters, quarterly newsletters, we did a safety stand down day back in July this year. We had various speakers coming in. Compass actually came in to talk about employee ownership.
Yeah.
We've got another one booked next year. So again, I'm probably going to be scouting around here for somebody to come and help fill an hour spot. And again, just from like a different perspective, just to have somebody to come in and answer the guys' questions. They started talking about this year. They sort of went off on a bit of a tangent and stuff like that. And it's like, no, we're talking about employee ownership. So getting somebody inspiring from today to be able to come in and do a segment for us, that would be really great. We did actually lose one of our trust members. He left the business, so we've actually put out a vote again. So, and it's just getting different people back onto the trust board, which is always kind of exciting for me from that point of view, because it's again bringing somebody new into the fold and explaining everything again to them about what we do, why we're doing it, and they get to see all the figures, which is again, it's a bit mind-blowing. It was for me when I first saw them. It was like, oh my God, just pages and pages. And, you just kind of like, you don't need to know that bit. That's a bit fluffy, but you do need to know this, this, and this. So again, I'll use my experience, just to help bring them through them.
Okay, very cool. And look, you did talk about sort of obviously losing a trust member, bringing it on. There are lots of really rules that are sort of put on an EOT with regards to those trusts. I mean, how difficult was it for you to get on board for that? And how do you ensure that you're not like creating any disqualifying events or anything?
It's we always speak to Andrew at Gale Darts, because obviously he helped us with the initial transaction there, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's come down to us. We've had a session with him in our boardroom where we've invited other EO businesses to come and sit and help us. So I always kind of revert back to him and, just ensure, right, so-and-so resigned from the company, we're going to be a board member down now, what's the best route? And again, it was a case of few people knew who had left and that they sat on the trust. Like, oh, so what's happening with the trust board now then? It's like, right, okay.
So people are interested.
They are interested, yeah. Okay. So we didn't have so many names come forward this time, but we still had 3 names from various different departments. And again, it went out to the vote and they picked a name and, so it's exciting that, that they're still interested. And, you got fresh blood on the trust as well. Like you say, you start the education process again. And then hopefully he goes out there and says how wonderful it is to be on the trust board. And as we know, we can only sit for certain years. So we do a couple of seasons on there. So it's everybody's learning and educating because whenever it's my turn to come off the board, I'm going to have to be there to help other people that want to come.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Sarah, but as we're sort of coming to the end, I like to ask everyone 3 quick questions.
Right. Okay.
And we just offer a quick response. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. So, who is the leader that you most admire in employee ownership?
Oh gosh. I've come across Sam Mose before.
Yes, a prior guest on the podcast.
Wow. Yeah. No, we sat in, we did a bit of a Zoom call with him. He again found it on LinkedIn and sort of touched base with him there. So yeah, what he had to say was, very inspiring. Yeah, I think that was earlier on this year that I caught up with him.
Okay.
So he's on my radar this week.
Very good. What's your favourite resource on employee ownership?
Resource? I always refer back to the EOA.
It's a great resource.
It's like everything's there. Every morning I get an emails, questions from the hub that people have asked. Some of them are relevant, some of them aren't. But I always kind of revert back to the EOA because there's so many questions that you can always find an answer to that.
Yeah, very good. And then the last one is, what would you say to an owner who's sitting on the fence regarding a transition to employee ownership?
Yeah, just do it. It's you'd be surprised. I think people get the reservations about it, but it's about trusting your employees. You hired those guys. Trust them to carry on your legacy with your business. Yeah, very good. I love it. It's a great message. So, Sarah, where can people go follow your story or learn more about Celvac? Yeah, so we've got a website, or follow us on LinkedIn. We do a bit, not so much on Facebook, more kind of LinkedIn, but you can see us cleaning sewers and digesters and things like that. It's, great fun. I'm sure that gets a lot of followers, ASMR content. But Sarah, thank you so much for joining us on The Alternative Exit. Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you.